we had a really cool experiment with floating stick figures. So if you don't remember, or if you weren't with us, I am going to share another video and just give you a little peek at what we saw. So you'll remember that I had a marker and I was very careful to make sure that it was a dry erase or a whiteboard marker. I took a glass casserole dish and I made some stick figures on it. You can see them there. I even drew a little Oosterschelde, which I got the three masts right, but that was about it. It doesn't look too much like our beautiful tall ship. Now I added some water to it, and then we saw something pretty cool start to happen. Our stick figures started to float. Our ship, our beautiful three-masted historic Oosterschelde, started to float as well. So that was what we saw. Our markers, our stick figures taking float in our glass pan. And so our task was to replicate that in the classroom or at home, and then to think about why that might have happened. So let's talk a little bit about why for a minute or two before we look at the answer to last week's curiosity. So first of all, I have a couple little things here just to remind you. So this is a permanent marker, a Sharpie. I think we're all familiar with those. And then we have our whiteboard marker, our dry erase marker. It was really important that we did not do this experiment with a Sharpie because Sharpies, permanent markers, they are meant to last. They have a really strong adhesive in their ink, so they stick to what other surface you write them on. But dry erase markers are made differently. They have minimal adhesive in the ink. So yes, they are on the surface of a board or they are on the surface of a glass dish, but they're not meant to stick there forever. They don't have a really strong adhesive. Um, so when you make notes or you make drawings, you can easily wipe them away. Now, there's another thing about these dry erase markers. Their ink is insoluble. So that means they can't be dissolved in water. So if I take the ink from here, it's not going to dissolve into the water like something like sugar or something like salt. So those two factors, those two properties of dry erase markers, that there's minimal adhesive, so they don't stick to the surface very well, and that they're insoluble. So if we put them into a liquid, they're not going to melt and dissolve away. That is why when I poured the water in, they released themselves from the bottom of the glass pan because there wasn't much adhesive, and they didn't dissolve because they're insoluble in water. And we got to see that they were also buoyant. They weighed less than the water, so they floated to the top.